Good morning, everybody. My name is Victoria Borwick. Thank you very much indeed for inviting me to come up. And can I say a quick thank you for all of you who've braved the cold from wherever you've come in from and this morning. So thank you very, very much indeed. I'm going to talk for briefly, a few more minutes about my career. Then I thought we'd have a bit of debate about some of your options in life and what you're all going to do. And then I've got a quick quiz for International Women's Day just for a bit of fun. So I wasn't a particularly diligent student at school. I certainly wasn't a sort of, top of this, prizes for this or anything else. In fact, I found the restrictions of school rather sort of restrictive. And I wanted to get out in the world there and do things. I felt there was much more than could be done just in school. Anyway, so when I left school, I thought the important thing was to go and get a job because I wanted to earn money. So I went out and I wanted to choose what I was going to do with my own money, spend my own money, do my own things. So I was very ambitious to work, to go out and see what was available to me. So I was, happy to work whatever hours. And then I discovered you could also be paid by the hour. So that meant I could do more work and get more pay. And so I certainly recommend that as a start to all of you. All of you want to go and earn money? Yeah. Well, go and get a job. It's a really good start in life. So then I realized, starting to work, that actually there were many people who couldn't do the obvious things and understand how to get help, those that needed help. And I started being interested in being a school governor. All of you go to school. Do you know you have governors here? And you would have had governors at all the schools and things that you have been to. And that's your first level when you can reach out and help people. I then thought it would be really, really interesting to be a local councillor because I appreciated that actually local councillors make what happens around you happen. Anybody here ever been in touch with their local councillor? My God, all your lives are perfect. No one's ever need to be in touch with a local councillor. Well, let's just talk a little bit about what local councillors actually do. If we could see out of the window, what would we see?
Well, we could see buildings going up and tidying up going on.
Planning, absolutely. So councillors make decisions on planning. What else would we see if we looked out the window? If you looked out of the window, what would you see?
Roads.
Roads, exactly. So are the roads well maintained or not? What else would we see?
Clean streets.
Hopefully clean streets, so that's collecting your rubbish, absolutely. What else would we see?
Birds.
Birds? Yeah, I don't think anybody runs the birds, fortunately, I'm very pleased to say, although I'm sure we could talk about environmental campaigns later. When you look out of the window, those are mostly the things that your local council does. So if somebody complains to you, the street light's out, or my rubbish hasn't been collected, or they want to do planning for their house, as you said, that's what your local council does. So when people say, well, why should I contact my local councillor? Would anybody here be interested in being a local councillor? Do you believe in helping other people? Do you believe in helping other people's lives? So when people have a problem, they've got a problem with their housing. They've got a problem because it's damp, because they have cockroaches, because they're having an argument with their neighbours. Who are the people who put that right? You, if you stand for election. You are the people who can help because you've been educated. You've had the opportunity of schooling. You have the opportunity. So each and every one of you can already make a difference. And then I thought, having done that for many years, that I'd actually understood how important it was that people who've had the opportunity of schooling and education should make sure they went out and helped other people. People who were vulnerable, people who couldn't write letters, people who didn't understand who and how to ask for help. So that's the first job for all of you. Then I thought, well, I live in London all my life. Let's see, how many of you walked here today? How many of you came by bus? How many of you came by tube? Anybody by tram? No? And the rest of you drive? Or how the rest of you get here? You drive. Okay, fine. So let's talk about the responsibilities of the Mayor of London, because I decided the thing I would like to do is go and look at London-wide governance. Does anybody know what the responsibilities of the Mayor of London? Anybody shout out a few? TfL, quite right. Transport, absolutely. What else is the Mayor responsible for? He's not in charge of national security, but he is in charge of the Metropolitan Police. Absolutely. What else? And back to the environmental question. Yes, he does have an environmental brief. Your question on the birds, he doesn't actually control the birds, although he has put a hawk in to kill the pigeons in Trafalgar Square, because I said we'd come back to your environmental comments, because obviously the pigeons are doing great damage to some of our national buildings. But actually, otherwise, like all mayors, he is planting trees and trying to improve the environment, because they all have a pot of money for improving the environment. So has anybody ever been or listened or heard any of the mayors? Ken Livingstone, Boris Johnson, Sadiq Khan? Anybody been in touch with your GLA representative? Okay, so if somebody says to you, I'm complaining about TfL, or if I want to talk about the police, or I want to talk about those things that are London-wide, then you can certainly be very welcome going to the GLA. So those of you who think that you'd like to be, anybody here want to be the next Mayor of London? Why laugh? Good, I'm so pleased that you do. What would be your top priority for London? Well, having put your hand up, are you going to tell us your policies for London? Have you got, no, I mean, truly, you said you'd like to be the next Mayor of London? I'm very impressed, good. So what do you think would be important for London? Safety, absolutely right. Because very sadly, you're absolutely right. What is happening is that young men are killing other young men. And sometimes 3 or 4 young people are dying each weekend. And you're absolutely right. The top priority for any mayor is our safety, just like is the top priority for government. So well done, and thank you for speaking up, and I absolutely agree with you. Quite right, well said, good for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, can you give a loud round of applause, please, to our next Mayor of London? You would be very welcome to go and visit the Great London Authority. They have fantastic student days. They talk about geography, they talk about maths, because the figures and research that goes on about Londoners, TfL, for those of you who travel on any of the TfL services, know where all their trains are, all their buses are. And how does TfL work? It works because of the engineers and all the people who work there. Fantastic job. In fact, we were just talking earlier about those of you who've been on the Elizabeth line, formerly called Crossrail. There were fantastic engineering work went into making that, drilling under all the other tube lines, making sure they didn't go through the other facilities under London. And the people who drove the drilling machines at the most precise moments when they were going under things like St. Bart's Hospital, those machines were driven by women engineers. So please remember, there are masses of jobs available to you in London. And please think about all the things that come under London governance. Once again, when you answer questions in London, you're talking about questions that affect all of Londoners. Everything that you all do, how you all got here today, will come under the Mayor of London and the Greater London Authority. And they certainly have education days, they make you all most welcome. So having done that for 8 years and risen to the post of the Deputy Mayor of London, I then decided I would be a little bit more ambitious and try to be a Member of Parliament. Because I felt I had worked my way up, I had built up some expertise at trying to help other people, and I felt that it would be really fascinating to be in Parliament. Standing for election, you have to get people to support you, and you have to have a manifesto, and you have to believe in what you're doing in order that people will vote for you. People won't vote for you unless you can convince them that you're going to try and make a difference to their conditions. And of course, the thing about national politics is you suddenly arrive, and if you're like me, you think you're there, you're going to be helping your constituents, and then you find you're in a much larger pot where people are interested in, national topics, not just the local. And so it's a real jump up to the system. And it's really fascinating listening to so many other people who've got their own passions from across the political spectrum, because actually they all mostly want to do the same thing. They want to help the local people in their patch too. So what I want to say to you is, from that girl who wasn't a top student at school, who wasn't receiving the prizes for the top of this and the top of that, I certainly didn't go on that stage and have somebody say, well done, you're our gold star student. It's quite easy, it's possible to do all those things if you make sure that it's your work ethic, it's your ambition, it's your aspiration to go out there and say, what can I do to make a difference? What can I do to go out there to know when you go to bed tonight, you've helped somebody else? So that's a brief summary of my career, and I still volunteer. I work at a food bank, and I help raise funds for other local associations. I work with the Felix Project, who's one of the other food delivery people around London, and so I spend my time finding people, another cup of coffee, finding people who perhaps need a bit of help, who can't make the system work for them, and I try and help them. So thank you for inviting me here today. I think it's time we had a bit of a discussion, and I'll also get us going with a bit of a quiz, because that will hopefully, you can think about past heroes and future heroes. So let me get my quiz. Okay, so mostly around women, because obviously I'm very conscious that today is International Women's Day. Which was the first country in the world to allow women the right to vote? Shout out the answers. Go a few more countries, folks. No.
Somebody said Sweden, somebody said Australia.
May I say the person who said Australia was nearest physically? Yes. Who said New Zealand? Hooray! Top student. Okay. Now, next quiz. Which year did Switzerland grant women the vote? I'm going to give you three choices. Then you're going to put your hands up for whether you think it's A, B, or C. A is 1917. I'm going to do the three first, and then you can decide. 1939 or 1971 is C. So put your answers up for A, 1917. Put your answers up for B, 1939, or C, 1971. A. B, C. Hooray! So isn't it so interesting that a country that's not very far from us, European in that sense, was so late to give women the vote? Some of you will have parents and family members born in 1971. Who was the world's first female prime minister? No. No. Similar. Yes, that's right. That's right. Top of the class. Okay. Sarima. That's right. Sarima Bandaranaike. But you're quite right. A lot of people think it's Indira Gandhi. You're absolutely right. It's a sort of slightly trick question. Okay, so what about our female black MPs? What year did Diane Abbott become the first black female member of Parliament in the UK? I'll give you three clues. 1987, 1990, or 1995. A, B, or C? A. A, which is 1987. B, 1990. And C, 1995. Okay, A, 1987. I'm not sure this is still working. Never mind, we'll start again. Okay. Who was the first woman to found a university or college? Was it Fatima Al-Fihri with the university in Morocco, Mary Lyon Mount, Holyoke College in the USA, or Elizabeth Jesser Reed in Bedford College, London? So we'll go for A, Fatima. B, Mary Lyon Mount, Holyoke in the USA, or C, Elizabeth Jesser Reed, Bedford? Well, only half of you tried in that one. Let's have another go. Yes, it was Fatima in Morocco. Oi! Hey, 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 hey. So for those of you who guessed correctly, congratulations. So these are all people you can research in your own time. And one day someone's going to be a microphone. Okay, so a couple of nice, easy questions now. Who can tell me the difference between the suffragists and the suffragettes? Come on, come on, come on. International Women's Day.
Suffragettes, isn't it?
Yes, tell me what the...
I'm not sure it's in the right order.
Okay, so what did the suffragists do?
They put the. I think they were the ones who started the process, but the ones who carried out the process are the giants or something like that.
The suffragists believed in votes for women, but they believed in doing it peacefully.
Yeah.
And the suffragettes believed in votes for women and
Taking action. Taking action.
jolly good. Well, congratulations to all of you, and I hope that you're all going to go off and be suffragists. So we've talked about some of the previous people who founded various organisations and founded things. If you were talking about your heroes of today, thank you. Who would your heroes of today be? What about people like Malala? What's Malala done? Anybody else going to speak up? Anybody know who Malala is? Okay, well, if you... Okay. Anybody know what Malala's done? Do anybody know who Malala is? Okay, good. Well, who's going to tell me what Malala's campaigning for? Okay, so we've had an answer here. Education for girls. All right, well said, well said. Quite right too. And what are the students in Iran campaigning for? I'm sure you've all watched them on the television, so somebody speak up. Yes. So what are those students in Iran campaigning for? Exactly, exactly, exactly. And we should all be supporting them because they've been brave enough and every day they're putting their lives in danger. So we should certainly be supporting them. So a round of applause for you, please. Thank you. So have you got any other modern day heroes? Particularly as we're here for International Women's Day. And I've seen all the great things that all of you are going to go off and do. Anybody like to speak up for another hero? Yes. Okay, do you want to stand up and say who they are? Who know? We're talking about Greta Thunberg.
So she's been campaigning for climate change and environmental issues.
Okay, does everybody know who Greta Thunberg is? Yep, great. So, have you got any? Very good indeed. So you all need to go back and do a bit of history today. Does anybody know who Mary Wollstonecraft is? Okay. She was again, wrote books and was again very keen on women's suffrage, which is basically women's rights and women getting the vote. Anyway, I've done enough talking. Let's have a few debates about what's going to make a difference to all of you. How many of you want to go and get a job? Great. What are the rest of you going to do? Good. How many of you are going to do one of those amazing skills that you've seen on the board there? How many of you are going to go off to university to go and get a job? I mean, let's just talk about it. When you walk into a shopping centre, when you go down the street, what role do you want to play in improving it? Are you going to be the scientist? Are you going to be the person who designs the shopping centre? Are you going to be the person behind the store? Are you going to be the person who decorates the store? Are you going to be the person who takes the money? Are you going to be the person who designs the merchandise in the store? It's your ambition that's going to shape your lives and the difference that you're going to make in your lives. And at the moment, you have the cusp of everything open to you. Don't sit there and say, oh, it's not going to happen to me. It can happen to you, just like it happened to me. It's your ambition, it's your aspiration, it's what you want to do. I'm delighted to hear the range of things that people are doing here, because every single one of you will go out and make a difference. And I just want you to remember back to being told today, and by all your staff and support team here, I'm sure, that you can go out and make a difference. You can go out and be the next Greta Thunberg. You can go out and be the next Malala. You can go out and be some of these other inspiring people. But it's your own ambition and it's your own application and how you apply yourselves to all those things. As I said, I wasn't the girl who was on the stage receiving those awards, but I've gone out and I have made a difference, and I can sleep happily at night knowing that every day I make a difference in somebody's lives somewhere. So I want you all also to go out with that ambition. So let's have a few questions about what it means to be, or what it wants to do, or what are you going to do? What are you studying here? Mm-hmm. And what are you hoping to do? Very good. And architecture as well, or? Mm-hmm. And you're going to draw things, you're going to design things, you're going to make buildings. What are you going to do?
I want to design.
Great. Greetings cards, paintings, pictures.
Just a bit of all of those.
So you could be the next paper chase. Yep. Okay, we've got our next creative designer here who's going to, support this business. We're going to have fantastic, fancy projects, and then we're all going to go and buy them. Is that right? Are we going to buy your things?
Maybe.
There you are. You see? Fantastic. Somebody else, what are you going to do? You're a staff member here, so how do you inspire your team? What do you think helps your students to succeed? Finance. Good. So who's going to go into finance? Who's going to be the money makers of the world? Good, good. Yep, good. Our next mayor of London is certainly going to be into finance. Thank goodness. It means London's going to be run more effectively. I'm delighted. Thank you. What are you studying?
GCSE.
Mm-hmm. And what do you hope to do once you've got those?
Culture.
Mm-hmm.
Architecture.
Fantastic. That's a really tough gig. And what's your most admired building? What sort of style do you have? You can design our school, because I gather the school's being rebuilt. Well, here we are. We've got a student here who's going to help with the architecture. You're going to come back and make sure they do it all right? No, what sort of buildings would you like to design?
I'm not sure about.
Mm-hmm. Have you been to some of the Olympics buildings? Have you seen any of those? Do you have particular architects you admire? Haven't decided yet. No? Well, okay. Well, that's good to start, because, the original design, of course, because I was involved with the delivery and planning of the Olympics, the original designs for the amazing swimming pool at the Olympics Park. Has anybody been to Stratford and seen some of the Olympics buildings, designed by some of the finest architects in the world? When Zaha Hadid drew that original design for the roof, she literally did draw it on the back of an envelope, because she had this vision of this thing that would look like a wave. And then she gave it to Arup, who are architects and designers and builders, and they had to do the maths. So all of you here who any mathematical ability, you're going to need to help our architect here. So he doesn't just draw something that he has a vision for, but he actually can make it happen. So yes, please, any of you. So teamwork here for our architecture team, as our new architecture student here is going to design our next great buildings. Well, good luck. And I hope you're going to come back here as an architect in 10, 15 years' time. And you're going to stand on that stage and you're going to show people some of the buildings that you're working on. That will be fantastic. So please, a round of applause to our next architect. What are you studying?
Engineering.
Well, there you are. The world would not work without engineering. This is the most important thing. What element of engineering are you interested in?
Architecture.
You're also architecture. Well, that's fantastic. We've already got a new team here. Well, that's fantastic. We're going to have the Stanmore team of architects. Well, that's fantastic. That's really, really impressive. And where do you hope to study?
I've learned for Harvard.
Well, that's really impressive. And are there particular buildings you admire or want us all to go and look at?
I don't know, just buildings, houses.
Houses. Okay, so that's really interesting. Are you interested in making our houses more energy efficient, or what's your appeal in housing? Not sure yet. Okay, well, again, I'm looking forward to you coming back on that stage and showing us some of the buildings and housing you've built. Another round of applause, please. Now, come on, you health and social care students. Are you going to speak up about what your ambitions are and how you're going to care for people to make sure that other people's lives are touched by your kindness? So what are you going to hope to do?
Paramedic.
A paramedic, wow. Do you want to work in a hospital or an ambulance, or what do you want to do?
Probably an ambulance.
Fine, well, here's our next person who's going to save your life when you have an accident. Very impressive, very impressive. Who else is going to speak up? What are you going to do? Pharmacist. Again, somebody's going to save our lives because, you know, doctors are so busy, everyone's going to need to take advice from their pharmacist. Well, here's our next doctor. So again, that's very impressive. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for sharing that ambition. Gracious me, in 10 years' time, you're going to have all these students coming back and they're going to be able to say to all those students here today, I did it, and I did it because I was here and I had that ambition and I worked hard and I fulfilled that ambition. So, wow. Come on, a few more people. What are you going to do when you finish studying here? Other than our next Mayor of London, come on, a few other rest of you. What are you studying? Science?
Applied science.
Applied science, sorry, I missed, thank you. And what are you hopefully going to do with that? Wow, very impressive, very impressive. And what sort of company would you like to work for? Have you got a sort of vision of how you're going to use it? Mm-hmm. Do you want to work for yourself? Do you want to work for a large organisation? Do you want to work as part of a team? Very impressive. Here's our next entrepreneur. A round of applause, please. Very impressive. Hi, sir. What are you going to do? What are you studying? Very impressive. And where would you like to do that? That's excellent. And is that local? Oh, fine. Very good indeed. And do you feel like, is your calling for that in this country or abroad, or what's your ambition? Mm-hmm. And do you feel it's important to help people have a more of an understanding of what completes their lives? I mean, are you driven by the fact that you feel it's a way of people helping themselves through crisis? Well, I think that's extremely good. Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Because we all go through times of crisis, and often people turn to religion or faith, and it's much better to do that than to turn to other things that may disguise it. So congratulations, and I wish you every success. Come on, we need a few students here to tell us what you're studying. So what are you studying? Anybody around here? Anybody going to tell me? At the end of the row, you're looking very, very bored and fed up, as if you'd rather be somewhere else. Would you like to tell me what you're studying? Yes, you. You don't want to tell me what you're studying. Are you not studying? You are. Good. You're just sitting here being warm. So, what are you hoping to do with your life? You don't know. Fine, well, that's fine. When I left school, I didn't know either. So, that's, just because you haven't got a decision today, that's absolutely fine. Stay warm, stay safe, and hopefully it'll all work out, okay? We're with you all the way.
We've got this young lady, she's a bit shy, but she wants to be a detective.
Oh, wow, gracious me. Now, do you want to work for the Metropolitan Police, or have you got an eye on another police force around the country? And at any particular aspect, do you want to be a detective solving crimes, or do you want to be out on the beat, or what would you like to do? Solving crimes. Here's our next detective. Congratulations. Very good indeed. Excellent. Very good indeed. Come on, a few more people of what you're going to be, because you're the people who are going to be on the list when in 10 years' time, you're going to come back and tell everybody what you've been, and it's going to be you here speaking to the next generation. Come on, a few in the back row here. Come on. Let's hear from a few of you. Come on, tell me what you're studying. Good.
Okay, I'm studying in childcare and working as well. So,
Shh, please.
all the professional doctor, metropolitan police, and anybody here, if we don't look after the children, the country won't run smoothly.
Absolutely. Anybody here going to be a teacher? Oh dear, that's not. Okay, well we can but try it. Okay, good. You're going to be a teacher. Good. A professor. Very good indeed. Any particular subject? What interests you most? Very important, very important. Absolutely. Helping us all communicate with each other. Congratulations. Well done you. Very important. Now, come on, you guys. Absolutely. Come on, you lot. Tell me what you're going to be.
Pick on them. Pick on them.
I've tried, but I can't poke them.
Like the psychotherapist.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. That's fascinating. Now, have you had people who've needed help like that that's made it interesting for you, or what's given you that interest? Well, that's really important. Have you seen people suffering from mental health issues? Well, that's really good. Well, please can we give a round of applause to our next psychotherapist? Okay, so let's have any other general questions that you'd like to ask, because I'm mindful of the time. Any other questions? Yes?
Just one. What would you say are some of the challenges that female MPs face on a day-to-day basis as a female MP?
I think what I would notice most is because of the hours of the House, although they are, some people believe, more generous now, I have witnessed MPs missing their children, particularly missing their young children, and telephoning them up and reading them a bedtime story over the phone. Now, that's not the end of the world. They may have other family members around them. But for some MPs, I know that they found that personally very challenging. They would have liked to have been at home to have been the person reading that bedtime story. So I think the hours in the house are more difficult in that sense. But I think 50-50, of course, is the ambition. We should have 50-50 representation, and we're certainly moving there. But I think it will always be difficult, but it might just be the same if you were working in the city. It might be the same, you know, if you were having your pharmacy open late. It might be the same if you were working in an architecture practice. You know, sometimes there are deadlines that means you can't get home for when you might be. And that's all part of life's challenges. I think the house authorities have done a great deal to make it much easier for women. And I think there's a great consideration given to that. But I do know from personal experience that watching MPs, you know, sitting there on their phone, you know, reading that bedtime story was not what perhaps they would have wanted in life. But I don't think in a way it's more of a challenge than some of other, you know, jobs that are around. So in a way, there's no barriers to any of you standing for elected office.
How did you get your voice heard in such a male-dominated environment?
I think the important thing is to have an absolute conviction that you actually want to make a difference. Those of you who've spoken up today, you've started to have an idea of your path in life and what you want to do. And that's going to be your inner drive, your inner voice. When things get difficult, when things get, you know, aren't going the way you want to do, or you've failed or been knocked back. I mean, I've made it sound as if it was easy. I didn't get elected the first time, any time I stood anywhere. But you have to keep, you know, brush yourself down and start all over again. You know, I tried to be a councillor, didn't get elected the first time. I tried for 3 or 4 sessions to get elected to the GLA, and didn't get chosen first time. And again, to be a member of Parliament. Nothing is easy in life. Almost nothing we actually achieve is easy in life. But if you have the courage of your convictions, if the courage that what you want to make a difference in your job, because you know that you're going to solve someone's problems with mental health issues, or you're going to make a difference to someone's lives as a paramedic, that you are going to go back, you are going to do those extra hours, and you're going to fight those challenges and overcome your difficulties, and you're going to succeed. Mr. Architect. Any other questions? So come on, as a result of any of that, does anybody be interested in being a local councillor? You're still none of you interested. Oh, well, I've tried to make you be interested in democracy. Is anybody going to be an MP? And we've got our next mayor for London, so at least I know that's spoken for. Well, the rest of you can go and stand for the GLA, because in all these places now, and in your local council, they have youth parliaments, and they have youth members also at the GLA. So there's masses of things that you can do to get involved with democracy. Because what is going on out there in your local council, what is going on out there in the Mayor of London, the GLA, and what is going on in Parliament affects every single one of our lives. So there's no point saying, oh, it's got nothing to do with me. Yes, it's got everything to do with you. It's got everything to do with how much tax you pay, what benefits you receive, what job you're going to get and how easy it is to get it, and including the funding of places like here and all the excellent teachers and support staff you have here. So please do not ignore democracy. It doesn't matter who you vote for, but go out there and stand and make your mark and make your difference. Because each and every one of you around here, I can see the energy. I can see each and every one of you, even if you're not actually speaking up, has ambition, is going to be successful. And it's going to be because of your own efforts and saying, I've got up in the morning and I've made it through the day, and this is what I'm going to do to make a difference. So, any more questions?
Last chance.
How can they go about getting involved in the parliament, the youth parliament?
Well, if anybody